If there's one thing I've learned in this build, is that when you have a challenging piece, what you need to do is make a softwood blank and then use that blank to learn how you're going to make the piece. And so that's what we've done. I've taken some mahogany and made up a series of blanks and drawn them out, and based on that I'm now going to attempt to make the hardwood piece. One of the fantastic things that I've discovered only recently is that inside the book there are scale drawings. In this case, the 4.5 elevation is dead to scale and is extremely useful to build the part. This is the softwood masthead step. It was the third attempt to make it, and eventually it came out pretty good. And out of that came a sequence of events. So the first one is establishing the top, and once we've done that, we need to establish the cutout for the keel, because it runs right through the center of the block here. So we've done that, and we're going to cut that on the table saw now. Once that is done, we can then establish the angled piece to the bottom, and I made a few blanks before I figured out how we would cut this piece. The next thing we do is to mark the recess, which is on both sides. And the suggestion is we also put a port and starboard mark on the piece. After a lot of trial and error, we've gone back and forth on the milling machine, or at least 10 times, taking small amounts off each time. We've now got a perfect fit. All the measurements can be taken off the book. This is the 10 by 10 recess, which is 7 inches deep, to take the mast. And then we are tapering this edge down, and ironically it's the same angle as this, which is 102 degrees on both sides. So we're going to put it back onto the milling machine and take these down using the lines that we've already established. All complete, so we're now just going to put the little curve on these lines, which David has in the book, and we've established a low line, and we'll use this file to take it down. Now we're going to make up the little wedges that adjust the rake on the mast. And because of the size, that turned out to be very problematic to do it with any of the saws. Many of you may remember my sliding table for the gym barns. I have one for the gym bonds and for the pre-act, but for this morning I decided that the gym bonds would be the correct sliding table to use. We had to make up a jig to cut these little blocks at an angle. So we determined an angle, it was a random angle, and we cut off a series of blocks that we're going to split. Because of the size, we had to jam it in place. So we had the opposite angle on the other side so we could hold it hard in place. And we still found, when I put it through the saw, that it jumped out. So I had to put a little hat on it to hold it in place, to prevent it from jumping out. And with that, and that actually gave us two triangle wedges that we can now stick together, which will be used to adjust the rake on the mast. Well, that wasn't so hard. We used the top of the mast step to determine the height, and that's now complete. Another one of the more interesting jobs complete. I find it fascinating that these ships actually change the rake of the mast. If you're a sailor, you know that the upwind performance of a sailing boat increases as you move the draft of the sail aft by shifting the bottom of the mast. I would never have thought that in these ships that they were as wise as that. So we'll see you when we do the next two mast steps.